So I had to make this miniature retro-inspired dining set for a project that I was working on. This is actually something that is part of a much bigger build. And because it was something I was dreading to make because I wasn't sure how I was going to make it, and it ended up turning out way better than I expected, I thought I'd go ahead and share the process. Hi, I'm Carol. I'm a miniature maker and sometimes I tell stories. I first started by sketching a reference of the table to scale. Once I had my reference, I used the reference to cut the pieces that I needed to size. And some of you may be familiar, but this piece is actually a dining set that I built as a part of a recreation of a house that I made some months ago. The house is now complete, and at the time of this video, it is currently showing in a museum. And this is a recreation of a real-life house, one that has some dark history attached to it, where a real-life crime took place. And so in this house, they did have this dining set that you see, and this is a recreation of it. If you'd like to check out the full video, I'll link that in the description. Full disclosure, it is a video that covers a topic that may not be something everyone is comfortable watching, and that's okay. But I still wanted to give some insight into how I've built certain things for it. Here I'm creating a small channel for a flushed assembly of the crossbars. And now cutting some small detailed grooves into that crossbar to resemble the life-size reference of this table. And as you can see, I'm just using the template to measure out the pieces that I need, so I have the pieces cut at the right angles to fit neatly. Here's a closer look at that small groove, that small little detailed groove that I was cutting earlier. And I simply just assemble everything using pins. I'm filling in some parts of those grooves that I cut out earlier with some excess wood pieces. Just sanding everything down to make sure it's all nice and smooth and that we don't have any frayed edges. Moving on to cutting some pieces for the chairs. Measure everything out all at once and do my cuts all at once. Also cutting out a little channel here, which is where the perforated paper will be resting on. And sanding everything down to make sure it's all nice and smooth. And I repeat the same process for the backrest and the seat. For the glass, I just used a piece of plastic that I had sitting around, just tracing out the tabletop and where I'm going to be cutting it. And clean off the excess ink from the marker with some isopropyl alcohol. I used polystyrene rods to create the frames for the chairs and the legs of the tables. And I just honestly eyeballed the first one, measured it out against the seat and the chair to figure out where the bends needed to be. Marked it, blast a little heat from a heat gun to soften up the polystyrene so I can create the bends in the right area, and repeated the process for all the chairs. To achieve a realistic chrome look, I actually just used two different types of liquid chrome. So I started out with the one that is a little bit more dull, and then went over it with the one that has more of a shiny mirror effect. And I did this to also help create this aged effect as if it's been used over the course of time. Once that was complete, I went ahead and started painting everything. And as usual, I watered down my paint just a little bit, just so that it looks a little bit more like stain and to give a more realistic look, and then wiping off some of the excess. And here we we are with our handy dandy perforated paper. I know I seem to use this quite a bit. Actually, I don't set out to. It just happened that the things I've been creating somehow just in real life has this pattern. So it just seems to be somewhat of a coincidence to some degree. And we're just attaching everything, and I'm just using some zap glue. It's a type of super glue, along with the accelerator to speed up the dry time. I've talked about this before in a different video, and repeat the process for all of the pieces. And there you have it, the finished dining set. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of how I created this miniature retro-inspired dining set. Didn't play a significant part in what unfolded in that particular house, but I did want to show how I made it because it is something that was kind of a challenge for me as a builder and as a crafter, and it was something that I put off for as long as I could because I just wasn't sure how I was going to make it. And then finally I got to a point where I had no choice but to make it because it was one of the few things left to make, so I had to do it. And lo and behold, it is something that turned out far better than I expected, and so I really wanted to show the process and how I created it. So I hope that this was helpful for anyone who's looking to create something similar for their build for whatever reason you're making it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.